Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Orlando Rivera.
How's it going tonight? Right on. Let's just get right into it, huh? March 2017, I'm DJing downtown Denver in a club, in a basement actually, basement club. Top 200 and urban was the format for the evening. Now, I had the dance floor jumping that evening, and the bartenders were slanging a lot of drinks. That's a sign, two signs that I'm doing my job well. So I was in the zone. I was in the zone. I received a text message from my girlfriend at the time saying, "Hey, when you get home, we're gonna need to talk." She said, so due to our turbulent start, or our turbulent relationship, I immediately racked my brain on what it was that we needed to talk about. So I fell out of the zone, got back into it, finished my set, and then I drove home. Now, while that was going on, I knew I couldn't avoid it like I normally would avoid or procrastinate conversations, and I could just leave or not answer a phone call or just avoid it. But I lived with this girlfriend at the time, so there was no running, right? So I get back home, I open the door, there she is sitting there, or standing there in the kitchen. So I make a beeline to the bathroom, try to avoid and just buy a little more time, right? It was kind of, it reminded me as if I were a kid at the doctor's office, just trying to avoid a shot. I remember building courage in the bathroom. I built up enough courage. This is sad, this was years ago. I built up enough courage and I opened the door up and she was still there waiting. So she swiftly delivered the news. "Orlando, you're going to be a father." Yeah, right? And emotion. I was scared, immediately anxious, but I also was surprisingly just willing to take this role on as a new father. Approximately 6 weeks later, we're at the doctor's office at an appointment to hear the heartbeat. That's when it became real to me. And I told you it was turbulent. It was a turbulent relationship, but I remember vividly being able, we sat there, she was sitting there, and we were holding each other's hands, and the doctor let us hear the heartbeat. And we just teared up. It was emotional, but it was real. Real. And we decided after that appointment to go to the park and just talk. Just talk about how we were processing this as new parents. And we were able to set aside all of that BS, all of that noise, and talk about the future of our family. It was refreshing, it was nice. We fast forward to October 2017. I'm sitting in my living room, and it's late. It's kind of a turbulent day, but she's in the other room, in the bedroom, and she comes out while I'm watching TV. It's late, and she calmly says, "Hey, I'm going into labor." So we both stayed calm. We get into the car, we drive to the designated hospital, get her checked in. In 5 to 6 hours, our son was there. Our son Elijah had been delivered. And we talk about real, that was really real. It switched a lot of stuff, man, especially my sleeping pattern. You know what I mean? There's a lot of parents in here. Wow, right? But I remember when my son arrived, my father, you get a lot of advice when you find out you're gonna be a parent. Some of it's horrible advice, even when they don't know that it's bad advice, and then some is good, right? You learn how to sift through. But I remember my father, something he told me resonated with me. He said, "Son, parenting is it's like a road trip, somewhat like a road trip. You have a destination that you're trying to get to, right, or an objective. And what happens is sometimes storms pass, and they might beat up the car, or you might get a flat, or the check engine light comes on, but you adapt, right? You assess the issue, you adapt, and then you keep going. I thought that was solid advice. So my father, it was solid advice. Forgive me. During that same time, so the day that my son arrived, or our son arrived, I remember making a promise to myself that I was going to be there for him. Like emotionally, physically, or geographically. I was going to be close. I was going to be there, no matter what. So we obviously get to the house, like 24, 48 hours. They get us out of there. And we're back at home. And as the days turn into weeks, reality kicks in. And I don't feel prepared at the time, I didn't feel prepared as a father and as just a provider. I felt under par. So it was just beating me up. It was tearing me up. And the kicker was that me and Elijah's mother never resolved any of the issues that we had. So it was just a lot. We fast forward to September 2018. I come back home from work, and I open up the sliding glass door, and his toys were missing in the living room. I appreciate it. So I went to his bedroom, and his stuff was missing out of his bedroom. So I got concerned like any parent would. Pardon me. Thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate that, thank you. And I got concerned and saw that things were missing, so I called his mother and asked where his whereabouts. She was honest enough to tell me that she was a new mother and she was struggling with being a new mom. She felt alone. She's from here. She said she needed to be back with her family. I could respect that. I could empathize. I could have at the time. So I gave her that time. After that call, it was about 2 weeks till the next time that I heard from him. But prior to that call, I knew something in my gut told me she wasn't planning on bringing him back. It was tough. So it got foggier and foggier. I fell into a state of depression. I was processing things and thinking of things that, me knowing who I am, it wasn't my personality, it wasn't me. It scared the hell out of me. Oh, man. I was at a crossroads where, it was just life was beating me up. It was tough, right? But the odd part about it was, while my life was unraveling, my personal life was unraveling, I had got the opportunity to work with a radio station I always wanted to work with. It was one of Denver's top hip-hop radio stations. They offered me a position as on-air radio personality. This meant a lot of concerts, a lot of partying, and ultimately meant a lot of distractions. I quickly learned that when the last song ends, when the lights get turned on, and the smoke clears or fog clears, that whatever that is that you're trying to mute, if that's the music, booze, dope, whatever that might be, that it's still there, right? It's tough. I would be lying if I told you it got better, but it got foggier and foggier for me. But I knew that I needed to be closer to my son. So I get to a crossroad, and around that same time, forgive me, it was foggy, right? But I remember the memory, or the memories of, like, my father driving home, like on a summer, it might have been spring break, summer break, but it was when we were home. And he would come home for his lunch break and pitch us a couple balls. Me and the buddies in the neighborhood, he'd pitch us a couple balls and eat lunch. Little side detail, he loved People's Court, the Judge Wapner back then. So he would at least watch one case and then head back to work. My father was Air Force. I don't know if they hear this or if this is past the statute of limitations, but he was milking the clock. I'll tell you what, man. I don't know how you pitch those, and you know what I mean? You do all that, and either way, so he would go back to work. I also remember him having us ride bikes. Me and him, we would ride our bikes. It would feel like all day Saturday. We would ride our bikes to the beach and back, and I would keep up with him. And those were memories that popped in my head during this time. Other memories like him teaching me how to tie a necktie or fix a flat tire. See, my father had made an impact in my life. And now it was time for me to make one. So it sounds so easy now, but I knew I was at these crossroads where I had to either keep carrying this weight or I would approach this thing, this cloud in my life, one bite at a time. Let me take it back. Another thing my father taught me as well was the importance of having a solid relationship with God as well. Can't forget that. So I told you I'm facing this. I finally decided to face it and take it on one bite at a time. And any of my free time, which was rare, I used to look for work in Michigan, try to get transferred. I looked at neighborhoods, not being from here, apartment complexes, condos, all different types of things, trying to figure out how to get out here and be closer to my son. A couple weeks, close to a month, surprisingly, I get a job offer to work at U of M, valeting cars, which isn't it's not my bad. Not that there's anything wrong with that. There was a lot of nice cars and all, right? But not my car. So not very important. But I took the job, no hesitation. I had to be close to my son. Let me get out to Michigan. So I remember going to at the time, he was a good friend of mine and my program director. I gave him my 2 weeks. 3 weeks later, I'm in Michigan. And fast forward to today, I'm still in Michigan. It's a beautiful thing. I'm also co-parenting with Elijah's mother. That's a beautiful thing. Yeah, that does deserve a clap. Man, still can be tough, but it's a lot less tough, I'll tell you that. But here's the kicker, is that tomorrow, I'm gonna be able to pick my son up, hold his hand, and we walk to the park, right? Or he's gonna go to his first baseball game this Sunday, right? With his father. Before he knows it, before we know it, I think 2-3 months, we'll be walking to his class and he'll be doing his first day of school in kindergarten, right? But before we both know it, time's gonna fly by and I'll be able to watch my son walk across the stage at graduation. That's pretty much it, guys. Thank you.
Orlando Rivera.